So, I believe we are connected. Good evening, everybody. It's great to have you all here. So, let's see. Hello, hello, and hi for Learn. Hi there to Valentine, to Maha, to Vitali, and to Ronan. I was a bit late in publishing this today, but well, we'll have lots, I'm sure. So, good evening, Count Beauty. I hope you're fine as well. Good to have you. My connection's not particularly good tonight. I don't know what's wrong with it. So if I suddenly disappear, you'll know what's happened. Okay, we're going to finish this article we were doing last time about narcissists. There are only 2 questions left. And then after that, we're going to do an article about what is going to be left of the city of modern cities, what modern cities are going to leave in the fossil record. Okay, so I think we're just about there. It's time for us to start. So, okay, in the last one, boosting self-esteem is key to potentially helping covert narcissists experience less incivility at work and possibly change their harmful habits. So, yeah, here comes the next one, and we're spot on time. That's brilliant. Okay, studies. No, it hasn't come through yet. It will come through in its own due course. Yeah, that looks a bit better with the connection. Okay, no, we're still waiting for it. That says that the connection's taking its time. Here we go. Studies the other may as well. But while you wait for this to happen, keep your guard up. So we've already got some answers. This is good. We've got back and forth from Count Beauty. We've got correlational from Valentine and correlational from Vitali as well. For Learn goes for correlational as well. Let me read it again. Studies have shown emotional intelligence and self-esteem have a merged collaboration, back and forth, correlational relationship. So if one improves, the other may as well. But while you wait for that to happen, keep your guard up. So, good evening, Manji, and good evening, Leffy. I hope the size of the picture being bigger today will meet your taste. So, let's see. Correlational for Maha. Good evening, Renyard. Hi there, Pepax. Great to have you. Yeah. Okay, that's good. I'm glad to hear that, Pepax. Okay, and Manji goes for correlational, and good evening, Patricia, who goes for back and forth. Okay, so let me read it one more time. Studies have shown emotional intelligence and self-esteem have a merged collaboration, back and forth, correlational relationship. So if one improves, the other may as well. But while you wait for that to happen, keep your guard up. So, it meets your standards. That's great, Leffy. Good evening, Renyard. Renyard goes for merged. Patricia's now wondering about correlational. Good evening, TW. Good evening, Hadi. Correlational is your choice. Good evening, Boris, as well. Wonderful to have you. Okay, yeah, people are flooding in now. So, I was looking at this. Originally here I put collaborative, which would have fitted better, but I'm not very happy. Yeah, hi Patricia, great to have you. To my hack, correlational relationship. That's assonance, Renyard. Assonance is quite good. Merged for Pepax. Good evening, Oksana. Oksana goes for correlational. TW for correlational. Okay, so merged. If 2 things merge, they join together and they become one thing. It's definitely not merged, Pepax. So, good evening, Tomek. Great to have you as well. back and forth. I think if something goes back and forth, it sways from one side to the other. No, merged won't work with relationship. It doesn't work with relationship, Pepax. And collaboration relationship, I would say a relationship of collaboration. It's got to be correlational. Yeah, there's a correlation between the two. Yeah, if two things correlate, you change one and the other changes. It doesn't say how they change, but they're directly correlated one to the other. Reciprocal, well, a reciprocal relationship is correlational. I guess emotional intelligence, and is it a reciprocal one? I'm not sure of the relationship. So correlational, it might well be reciprocal, Rainyard, but I think correlational certainly sounds better. Okay, so fake Pepax. This is Pepax's other one. Pepax's user. Okay, so we're going to have another one now. Yeah, there's a correlational relationship between the amount of time you spend studying and how good you are at something. So they're always hiding and armouring themselves. This is they's talking about narcissists. They're always hiding and armouring themselves. You can have empathy for it and pity for it because it's its own form of tragedy in a human being. But at the same time, doing that is not safe, says Hall. They are unfavourable, opposed, antagonistic, and fundamentally dangerous. Okay, so let's see. We've got unfavourable for count, opposed for learn, antagonistic for Vitaly and Valentin, and okay, so let's see. He says he's not sus. Imposter Pepax. Okay, it's the same person though. Okay, so let me read it again. They, the narcissists, are always hiding and armouring, protecting themselves. You can have empathy for it and pity for it because it's its own form of tragedy in a human being. But at the same time, doing that is not safe, says Hall. They're unfavourable, opposed, antagonistic, and fundamentally dangerous. Okay, so antagonistic for Maha, for Renyard, for Manji, for Ronan, okay, antagonistic for Oksana, for Count Beauty, and for Patricia as well. Okay. So, Strohs, good evening. TW goes for antagonistic as well. So if something is unfavourable, well, I think they treat you unfavourably. I'm trying to get rid of it. But I will get there eventually. Okay. That's better. Okay. So, yeah, I hope I've got rid of it now. So, unfavourable is negative. He has an unfavourable opinion. Anti what? well, anti-good relationships, opposed. They're opposed to you. Yeah? Antagonistic, on the other hand, is a word that means they cause fighting. Yeah? They cause problems. They cause difficulty. So, antagonistic. Okay, they're always antagonistic to you. Yeah? Okay, so they are antagonistic and fundamentally dangerous. Okay, so we're going to leave this one and we're going to see the next article. This is a new article and you will get the link later on. This is about how cities will fossilise. So if somebody comes back in 1,000,000 years, what's going to be left of the cities? Exactly. And this is talking about their character. Antagonistic is about character. Yeah, their character is they are causing they cause fighting between people. So, how will cities fossilise? The grand metropolises of the 21st century civilisation will leave a geological legacy that will last for millennia. But as the author David Farrier writes, some things will undergo, endure, outlast, outlive far longer than others. So we've got endure. Yeah, antagonistic is a personality. Absolutely, Strohs. Okay, so endure for Vitali, for Learn, for Count Beauty, for Manji, for Oksana, for Renyard, for Strohs. Okay, so outlive for Sveta. Good evening, Sveta. Great to have you. So some things will undergo change, undergo an operation, to undergo something. No. Will outlive us. You need a direct object here. Will outlast many other things. Again, you need an object. Will outlive, but A outlives B is the point, Pepax. Yeah. Okay, outlast and outlive need an object. Yeah? Will outlive something else. It needs an object. So we've got outlive for Sveta, endure for Ronan, TW goes for endure, Pepax for outlive, Patricia for endure, Hadi for outlive, undergo needed a direct object, and outlast and outlive. Yep. So Boris goes for outlive. Perennial will be perennial. Are perennial, will last a long time. Endure, because endure can be used intransitively. It doesn't take a direct object. That's it, Maha. Endure. So good evening, Martha. I'm sorry, outlive. Cockroaches outlive the human will outlive the human species. Yes, they will, very definitely. That's the idea, Renyard. They will outlast the human species as well. Sveta goes for endure. She's changed. That's good. And Leffy says outlast. So, good evening, Magda. Okay, so to endure, to last a long time. Something that's enduring is something that lasts. Yeah? She promised me that her love would endure forever. Well, maybe, maybe not. We'll see. So, undergo, outlast, outlive. These verbs all need direct objects. They've all got to be transitive. They can't be intransitive. Whereas endure can be both transitive and intransitive. Can go without a direct object or with a direct object. It seemed as though the whole world had been stashed, buried, absorbed, disguised in concrete. Ah, this one's easy. So what does to stash mean while we're at it? So we've got buried for Vitali, for Count, for TW, and for Manji. Good evening, Pavla, who goes for buried as well. And buried for Renyard. Okay, so what is to stash? To stash. I think the other words you know. Buried for Oksana and for Valentine. To stash, to hide. Yes, to hide something so people can't find it. So Patricia says buried or absorbed. I guess it could be absorbed in liquid concrete. Yeah? To stash something valuable, says Count Beauty. Yes. To hide away, says Leffy. Good evening, Laurie. Great to have you. Valentine says stash, to hide. Ronan goes for buried, stash something away. I like that away, Patricia. A secret stash. Very definitely. Okay, yes, you're going to find out any second now. So Sveta goes for buried. So Namaste Smith. So hidden in concrete, but somebody needs to stash something, so it needs to be hidden away. If something's absorbed, it's sucked in. If something's disguised, you make it look like something else. So good afternoon, Ilya. And buried for Sunyan. And Boris goes for buried as well. So the right answer is buried. No, it's one R. Okay, so to bury is to put something underneath the ground. Yeah, so it's completely covered in concrete. So the whole, it seemed as though the whole world had been buried in concrete. Very definitely. To bury, to dig, to cover completely. Yeah, buried in earth. To stash, to hide something away. To absorb, to get sucked in. And disguise, to hide, making something look like something else. Perhaps it was jet lag, but the view was breakneck, spinning, reeling, dizzying. The city pouring away to the horizon in every direction. Shanghai is one of the world's largest metropolises. So, good evening, Michaela, and we've got... Okay, Haddy goes for buried for the previous one. Very definitely, Haddy, that's the right answer. So, let's see, let's give... This is interesting. Okay, so we've got dizzying for Vitali, spinning for Count Beauty. Pavla goes for dizzying. De Smith says breakneck speed. That's great. There's something I was going to ask. Dizzying for Laurie. Leffy goes spinning. Patricia says reeling. Pavla goes dizzying. Valentine for dizzying. Ronan for spinning. And Renyard for dizzying. Okay, so let's just look at these to start with. Breakneck means very, very, very fast. He was driving at breakneck speed. It's definitely not breakneck. Breakneck means very fast. So, Renyard says dizzying. Ronan says spinning. Manji goes for spinning. Maha goes for spinning. Patricia wonders about dizzying. Okay, dizzying is very similar to reeling, right? Yes, there is clearly a difference here though. So, the view was spinning. It was breathtaking. That's a good example, Sveta. but it isn't here. Dizzying. So dizzying means causes dizziness. The view was causing dizziness. Sun Yan goes reeling. Let's see, reeling. I was reeling. Normally a person is reeling. A person is reeling. Now, I can understand, good evening Slipknot, I can understand why many of you have gone for spinning. The view was spinning. I guess it fits. But dizzying, I was reeling after the ride, but something is dizzying. That's the point. Yeah? The view was spinning. I would say the world is spinning, but my head was spinning. Yeah, the world was spinning round me, but here the view was dizzying. If you're dizzy, it's when you'll go round and round and round, and then you get off and you can't stand up. And dizzying is definitely the answer. Yeah, I think you might be able to say the view was spinning, but my head was spinning. Yeah? So, dizzying, dizzy. If something is dizzying, it makes you feel dizzy. And that's the point. Yeah, so the view was dizzying, was making me feel a bit blah. Yeah, it was very dizzying. So somebody's reeling. My head was reeling. My head was spinning. But okay. And okay, so I was reeling after, yes, so let's see. Good evening, Slipknot. None of these words seem appropriate. Ha! It was dizzying. The jet lag was the reason for dizzying. I think the size of the view was what was dizzying. Yeah, I think maybe the jet lag was also contributed to it. Yeah, but I think it's the view. Let me read this. From the viewing platform of the Shanghai Tower, the second tallest building in the world, it looked endless. A wave of skyscrapers rippling outwards, fading to a blue slur, stir, spur, blur of residential blocks in the far distance. Yeah, I was concentrating on banning the bot. Absolutely, that's the point. Yeah, well done, Leffy. We'll probably get another one bot in a minute as well. So let's see. Blur for Vitali for count. An innuendo means you suggest something unpleasant is true, but you don't say it directly. Blur for Ronan for Oksana. Okay, I hope you I hope I'm still transmitting. My connection's not very good today. Who was that? U10. Okay, Stir for DeSmith. Leffy goes for Blur. Laurie for Blur. Sun Yan for Blur. Renyard for Blur. Good evening, SF. Blur Park Life. For Slipknot. A viewing platform, it's a place very high up. You go to the top of very tall buildings. There's a viewing platform, a place where you can stand and view the city around you. Blur for DeSmith. Blur for Hadi. Stir says Maha. Blur for DeSmith. Slur, a stigma. So let's look at some of these words. A slur is an insult, is when somebody says something nasty about you. You could make a racial slur, yeah? Or you could slur your voice, when your voice could slur when you don't sound very clear. Pepax goes for blur. Okay, you can, when you're drunk, you slur your voice so people can't. That's to slur as well. You stir the soup, or you stir your drink. The spurs are what you wear on the back of your boots when you ride a horse. It's something that you kick the horse with. Yeah. Slur on a name. Very good, Patricia. Feature. Characteristic. Idiosyncrasy, Renyard, for example. A characteristic. A trait. Yeah, you can slur your words as well. Drunk people slur their speech. Blur for SF, to stir up trouble. Okay, so that, yeah, drunk people slur your words. Yeah. Tottenham hot spurs. Yeah, because they've got hot spurs on the back of their thing. Blurred vision. If I take off my glasses, boof, I can hardly see anything. The world is a blur. Yeah? So if it blur means everything is fuzzy. Yeah? Everything is blurred. So the world is a blur. Yeah? It's impossible to distinguish one thing from another. Hot spur, says Slipknot. Blunderboy, good evening, goes for blur as well. Okay, so yes, the world is a blur. You slur your speech, or a slur is an insult. You stir the soup. A spur, something to kick a horse with the back of your heels. And a smudge, I like that. A blur. Spur of the moment, yes. My sight is nothing but a blur. Give me my glasses. Absolutely SF. I think Hotspur you'll only find for a football team, Renyard. I don't think I would use it anywhere else, Hotspur. Okay, so I ought to read this. The modern cityscape is as much geological as it is urban. If Shanghai is a concrete desert, New York is the original canyon city. It's skyscrapered, furrowed, road, wrinkled, lined streets, forming deep valleys of the kind that in the past only great rivers could create over thousands of years. So, it's funny when you see someone without glasses. Thank you, Leffy. So, lined for Vitali, for Valentine, for Count, for Michaela, for Oksana, for Pepax, for Sveta, for Patricia, for Laurie, and for Leffy. So, what is a furrow? What's a furrow? I think road you probably know. Lined for learn and lined for manji as well. Road is row upon row upon row. So, I don't know, there were rows of lettuces growing in my garden. Lined for Slipknot, lined for Renyard. Lined for Maha and lined for TW as well. So my skin is wrinkled. Yeah, or you can wrinkle your forehead. It's like lines. A furrow is a trench or a channel. I love it. A furrowed brow, it's like they're trenches or channels or lines across your brow. It might seem furrowed by skyscrapers, but to me the furrow means there's a channel, not a road, and I think that's the idea. Badgers live in a burrow with a B, Leffy. Burrow. Whoops. Okay, with a burrow. Okay, so furrowed for Simon. Good evening. Barrows live in a burrow with a B, Leffy. I think they actually live in a set with a double T, Leffy. SF, my skirt wrinkled up as people dancing around me hit against me. That'll do fine, SF. Lined for Boris and lined for Haddy as well. Ditch or furrow the brow. Yes, this is a furrow. When a farmer ploughs his field, he makes a furrow. Yeah? Yep, that's it, Leffy. They live in sets. So, road. It's lined, because if something is lined, it's along the inside. So the inside of your coat is the lining. Yeah? Okay? So it's lined. It's like it's got something coating it. The lining is the coating. Okay, so the street is lined with skyscrapers, and it really is. I guess it could be furrowed, but it doesn't fit so good, so well, Oksana. Okay, so we're going to have another. So, good evening, Firdaz. Great to have you. Okay, in a late essay, Virginia Woolf pictured herself swooping, plummeting, falling, belly flopping, like a bird over the Hudson estuary, past Staten Island and the Statue of Liberty, to the concrete chasms of Manhattan. In a late essay, Virginia Woolf pictured herself swooping, plummeting, falling, belly flopping, like a bird over the Hudson estuary, past Staten Island and the Statue of Liberty, to the concrete chasms of Manhattan. Foxes do live in holes, a foxhole. I think it's more I think for a foxhole where a fox lives, I would do it as 2 words, whereas a foxhole in the army, 1 word, Slipknot. So, Count Beauty goes for swooping, so does Vitali, so does Manji, so does Patricia, so does Oksana, so does Blunderboy. Lined for Ronan is correct, and swooping for Ronan. Plummeting says for Learn. Okay, plummeting says for Learn, plummeting for Sophie. TW goes swooping, swooping for Slipknot, swooping for Leffy, Sophie for plummeting, Renyard for swooping. Well, it's not the first time, Leffy. And Firdaz falling, belly flopping. Okay, and SF says belly flopping for sure. So, what is a belly flop? I think this is the most interesting word here. Notice this word over. If you look at plummeting, to plummet means to fall like a stone. Yeah? To fall like a stone, and this is to plummet. So, look at this word over. She's talking about going from one place to another, and to plummet is vertically downwards, and falling vertically downwards as well. So, yeah, swooping for Leffy, for Sophie, for Renyard, for Laurie, and Firdaz says falling or belly flopping. Plummet doesn't fit, so Boris goes hovering, like a bird. I think, yeah, hovering would fit quite nicely if it was there. Haddy goes swooping over. Plummet is not necessarily about birds, but plummet is falling abruptly. Exactly, it can't be plummet or fall. Okay, so Boris goes for swooping. When you hit the water belly first, this is a belly flop. You dive into the swimming pool and you land, and it's painful, a belly flop. Yeah. Okay, so it's not plummeting. You plummet vertically, Patricia. Yeah, it's got to be swooping. Yeah, plummet vertically. Sveta says swooping. Fall over. Whoops, I fell over. I tripped. No, it's swooping. To jump into the water like a cannonball. Well, the belly flop is when you land on your tummy like this. That's when your stomach hits the water, yeah? A concrete chasm. Okay, a chasm is a cliff. A chasm is where the land goes vertically downwards. There's a hole in the earth, but a long, thin place, yeah? And that's a chasm. Belly flopping, no. An aircraft may plummet. Belly flop, you land prostrate. It can only be swooping. Because swooping, you are moving as well. You could swoop down, but you can swoop across. You can swoop over. Yeah. You did choose swooping, P. Okay, thank you, P. Well done. Okay, something that plummets or falls, it drops. It just drops straight down. And that's clearly not the thing. Yeah, the price of the shares plummeted, went down vertically to birds like eagles, for example. But exactly, Vitali. And when you swoop, the eagle swoops. It's controlled. A crag is a rough cliff or a rough rock, rough rocks. U10. So the city of New York, over which I'm hovering. There you go. Who was it who said hovering? She wrote in 1938. Looks as if it had been scraped and scrubbed only the night before. It has no houses. It's made of immensely high towers, each inserted, pierced, poked, embedded by 1,000,000 holes. Okay, so pierced for Vitali, for Count, for Valentine, for Patricia, for Oksana. Pavla goes embedded. Laurie goes for pierced. Saw would also fit, definitely Renyard. Okay, pierced for Sveta, pierced for Manji. Okay, we'll see see some other answers. Pierced for Ronan, pierced for Leffy, and pierced for Blunderboy. I soared into the sky like an angel. Perfect. Embedded says Sophie. Pierced like piercing says Ronan. Renyard says pierced. Okay, look at this embedded. The hole is embedded in the tower. Not embedded with 1,000,000 holes. Towers embedded with 1,000,000 holes. You want a Prince Albert. Okay, so SF for pierced and slipknot. By, embedded with, poked. Okay, pierced for Firndaz as well. It's that by which means embedded doesn't work. Inserted. The holes are inserted into the tower. Okay, made of 1,000,000 holes inserted into high towers. High towers. No, holes poked in high towers. It's got to be pierced. His body was pierced with bullets, or pierced means pierced by bullets. Pierced by holes, can't be embedded. That's it, Laurie. Embedded means buried, fused together. Okay, if something's embedded, you insert it in. Normally if it's embedded, part of it comes out. So the post, the bottom of the post, is embedded in concrete. Embedded in a rock, absolutely. So good evening, Jose. You go for poked. And decorated, that would work, Blunderboy. And Maha says pierced. I-E-R-C-E-D. It's definitely pierced. Yeah, to pierce, to make a hole in, to go through, a piercing in your ear or your nose or your cheek or maybe somewhere else. Okay, yeah, the next one I quite like. So, pierced. Yeah, the high towers have got holes. It's been pierced with holes, to puncture with holes. That's great, Slipknot. That's perfectly good. Made with holes. Made with holes. No, made of high towers with holes. So I'm sorry, Jose Alfredo. No. The first cities replicated the environments that once nomadic people depended on, concentrating shelter and sustenance, chow, nosh, grub, groceries in one place. So, let me wet my whistle a second. Okay. And sustenance for Vitali, for Count, for SF, for Leffy, for Manji. Embedded for a jewel, for example. Yes, the jewels were embedded in the crown. Sustenance for Valentine, it comes from sustain. Yes, it does, very definitely. Food sustains USF. Sustenance for Oksana, sustenance for Firnbaz, and for Patricia, and sustenance for Laurie. Notice these are all words for food. Ronan goes for sustenance as well. And sustenance for Slipknot. I think this one's easy. So chow. Chow is food. Chow's ready. Normally chow is a meal. It's chow time. It's time for chow. But this is really, really informal. Yeah? They chow down to a wonderful meal, but informal. Nosh. Nosh is another really informal word for food. The nosh at this restaurant is really good. Let's see, nosh, 3 informality. Grub. Grub as well is another word for formality, another word for food, but very informal. Grub up. Chow's ready. Time to nosh. There. A chow is also a type of dog. Sustenance says TW. Nosh is food. Yeah? Is food. Nosh. Nosh is ready. All of these, yeah, chow, nosh and grub, these are all too informal. Chow down. Chow down. He chugged down. Chow, nosh and grub are all food. He chowed down on a couple of biscuits. Chowed. Okay, all of these are informal. As formal, sustenance. I think sustenance is much more formal. And food. And nutrition. Eats. Yes. Eats. This is a very good word for these three. And groceries are what you buy in the shop. And clearly, nomadic people don't have shops. So sustenance, very definitely. Chow, noun. Nosh, noun. Grub, noun. To chow, normally to chow down, verb, to chow down on. To nosh, verb as well. Grub, only a noun. Provisions. I like provisions. Thank you, Vitali. Thank you for that. That was really, really helpful. Okay, so yeah, I think provisions are a good synonym. Sustenance. Okay, so we're going to try another one. Yeah, and the metropolis of the present offers its inhabitants the whole world in diminutive, in microcosm, in pint-sized, in microscope. Let's go shopping and buy some groceries. Exactly, SF. Yeah. Okay, so there we go. Well, it's great. It's great that, and we've got. Well, okay, I'm going to let you answer a little bit to start with. Okay, the metropolis of the present offers its inhabitants the whole planet in diminutive, in microcosm, in pint-sized, in microscope. So we've got microcosm for Vitali, for Count, for SF, for Pavlos, for Sveta, for Patricia, for Laurie, for Manji, and for Oksana. Okay, so pint-sized. We mean something small. Yeah. I know a pint is quite big, but pint-sized we normally use to mean something quite small. So Leffy asks, what is microcosm? Firndaz says microscope, microcosm for Regnard, and Ronan for in microcosm. In diminutive. I would say in a diminutive form. Yeah. In microscope. No, because the microscope is the tool you use to look with. Okay. So yeah, microcosm for Ronan and for Firndaz. Okay, so a microcosm. A microcosm is a system in miniature. It's a miniature replica or a miniature example of something much bigger. It's like a mini world. So I guess in Gulliver's Travels, when he went to Lilliput, yeah, the Lilliput was the world in microcosm. It's like in miniature, a miniature society, a miniature system. Look at that has all the important elements of something. So, for example, I don't know. Yeah, the things that go that people talk or go on in the pub are a microcosm of life in the country. Microcosmos, I love that. Yeah, it's a mini cosmos, mini world, says Manji. Yep, I recently made a video about microcosm in miniature. I did. I quite recently made the microcosm one, and that made me quite happy to find it here. Okay, you must have skipped that video. Well, you can find it later, I'm sure, Leffy. Whoops, I've written miniature. I don't know why. In microcosm. Microcosm. COS. That looks better. In microcosm. That looks better. Yes. Okay, so it's a miniature system, a miniature world that represents or looks like another one. Okay, so in microcosm. Maybe life at school is going to work, or is work in microcosm. Maybe it's exactly the same. I live in Spain, U10. Okay, so as the author Gaia Vince writes, the building and infrastructure of the urban landscape fake, pretend, mime, impersonate, simulate the high views of mountains, the protection of dry caves, and the fresh water of lakes and rivers. Okay, so we've got some answers. Okay, so Vitali says mime. Count goes for simulate, SF for simulate, Oksana for simulate, Pavla for simulate, Laurie for simulate, Patricia simulate. The theory of simulation, SF. Simulate for blunder, for Leffy, for Sveta goes for fake, Manji goes for simulate. Okay, to fake is to make something with the idea of deceiving somebody, of tricking somebody. And I think these landscapes just represent, impersonate, says Fernandez. Okay, simulate for Reynard, for Paula, for mime is for actions, Laurie. That's good. Diminutive means small. Yeah, is a diminutive version, a small version. User impersonates Pepax. That's very good. Impersonate is to look like someone else. Okay, mimic fits very well, Valentine. It's why I put mime instead of mimic. Well, I think our brains work like Matrix, but I think the things that they see are probably real. A mime is an actor who doesn't say anything. Fake it till you make it. What's her name? Yeah, I love this fake it till you make it. Make believe, let's pretend. Yeah, so to imagine. Okay, so the right answer here is simulate. I was wondering about mime. Mime might fit, but I think mimic looks much better. Good evening, Mukul. Good luck with your English tomorrow. I'm sure you're going to do really well, Mukul. And simulate it, says for learn. I think mime might fit, but mimic sounds much better. Simulate. Simulate's the right answer. Is definitely the answer we're looking for. Okay, so to simulate. It's an easy word and it fits well. Yeah, simulates it. Yeah, Mukul's going to do great. I'm sure of it. It's all right, SF. So, if cities have a geological character, it seeks, begs, supplicates, pleads the question of what they will leave behind in the stratigraphy of the 21st century. Now, this is a collocation. It can only be one. Notice stratigraphy, you have strata, levels, and stratigraphy is looking at the different levels. An archaeologist digs down and there are different layers, there are different levels, and stratigraphy is looking at the different levels. Okay, so begs for Vitali, for learn, for count, because no, raise the question. You could raise a question, but it's not the best collocation. Patricia goes for beg, so does Valentine, so does SF, so does Ronan, so does Leffy, so does Manji, so does begs, so does Oksana, and so does Reynard. I think raise is less strong than begs. Okay, Leffy goes for ask as well. So begs for Laurie and begs for TW. Okay, to supplicate. Please, 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 please. To plead. Don't hit me. It's like supplicate, to plead with somebody. To raise a question means to bring up a question. Seeks for Fernaz. Okay, yeah, you'll pick other answers just to annoy. It seeks the question. No. To beg the question. This is to ask very strongly. If something begs the question, this means that the question is obvious. If you say something is true, it can beg another question. So, yeah, he's just bought a car for £100,000, but that begs the question, how did he pay for it? Where did he get the money? Is he just robbed a bank or something? Okay, so one thing begs the question, it raises this question, but more than that, it's the obvious thing that you wonder. Yeah, you wonder about it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so to something to beg the question. Okay, yeah. Okay, so to beg the question, a question has cropped up about the position newly revealed in the firm. Yes, but maybe it begs the question, how much are they going to pay? Yeah? Okay, so now, articles. Fossils are the zero article, A and the, kind of planetary memory of the shapes the zero article, A and the, world once wore. Yeah. Very, very good, SF. I love it. Okay, so let's see. A and the for Count Beauty. 0 the for Valentine. Leffy goes for A and the. Vitali goes A, the. Okay. Laurie A and A and of the world for learn. Ronan says A only. Manji goes A and the. And the. Oh, okay, I get it. SF says the world. Paula goes A and the. Patricia A and the. Fiendaz A. Okay, A and the for Pavla as well. Okay, so let's look at this. Fossils are a kind of, one of various kinds, or the kind of planetary memory of the shapes, of the kind of planetary memory of the shapes. So, in my opinion, both A and the for the first one are kind of, fossils are kind of planetary memory of the shapes. Okay, I probably have to accept zero article, but with a different meaning. So A and the, I think, are for me are is the best. And then the shapes, there is only one world. If there were many different worlds, a world, my guess, but no, the world that we live in. Oh, here we go again. Okay. Okay, thanks for coming, SF. Great to have you. So, Valentine, fossils are a kind of planetary memory, or the kind of planetary memory of the shapes, the world. There's only one world. Similar to, exactly, Laurie. And okay, A and the, and zero article. Okay, so yes, great to have you, SF. Thank you very much. Okay, and let's try one more to finish with. It doesn't sound natural. Yeah, let's see, it's valid, kind of, it's too informal, yeah? But I guess it fits. Yeah, it doesn't sound natural. To me, the most natural is just a kind of record. One of the various kinds of records. Okay, last question. And just as the landscapes of the deep past are not forgotten, how will the rock register, file, diary, record of the deep future remember Shanghai, New York, and other great cities? Shapes the world war. Yes, that collocates. Okay, the word war is quite literary for learn, but it does work. Hello, Adam Lewis. So we've got record for Vitali, for Count, for Valentine, and for Manji, and I'm sure we're going to get some more. So, just as the landscapes of the deep past are not forgotten, how will the rock register, file, diary, record of the deep future remember Shanghai, New York, and other great cities? So, record for Valentine, record for Manji, record for Ronan, record for, or diary for Patricia, record for Pavla, record for Firdaz, record for Renyard as well. I think a register is like a list that you need to put your name on. Thanks for coming, Ronan. It's been great to have you. So the rock register, I think you register your name on a list. The rock file. No, a file is where you put papers, or on your, you put your, put information from your computer. Okay, so here, how will the fossils of the deep future, that's the idea, how will the fossils of the deep future remember this? Okay, I think diary, you might use it, but it's a bit metaphorical. How will the rock record, yeah, of the deep future remember us? So the rocks of us, the rocks that you can find. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's enough for today. Let's see, I will be back again on Tuesday, so next stream on Tuesday 5th of July at 10:30 a.m. UK time. So let's see. Thank you for coming, Ronan. Thank you, Vitali. Thank you, Laurie. Thank you, Manji. Thank you, Leffy. Great to see you, Renyard. Thank you, Sveta. Great to have you, Count. Stay safe. Thank you for coming, Manji. It's lovely to have you. And thank you, Paula. Lovely to have you. Thank you, TW. And Pavla, thank you. You have a wonderful evening too. It's been great to see you, and take care as well, Oksana. It's been a pleasure having you, Valentine. Okay, so in a second I'm going to cut the sound. Okay, lovely to have you. Thanks for coming, Leffy, and thank you, Laurie, as well. Yeah, you're a wonderful group. I'm sorry about the troll bot we had, but it wasn't a great problem. And thank you for Learn. It's wonderful having you. So I hope to see you all in a coming stream. Take care and